What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm talking about Queer. This is A24's, the second film with Luca Guadagnino, although they didn't do the first one, and GM did Challengers. Although it feels like somebody else did Challengers, doesn't it? Anyway, yeah, this is A24 teaming up with Luca Guadagnino for a film based on a book by William S. Burroughs, starring Daniel Craig, Drew Starkey, Jason Schwartzman, and I guess like a nice little pleasant surprise from Leslie Manville. So, but it's set in, it has a lovely, lovely score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I've seen this movie twice now, and I appreciated the score even more the second time through. I'm so backed up on reviews that some movies that I haven't released reviews to are coming out, and I have opportunities to watch them a second time with audio description when they were not presented to me with audio description the first time. And this is one of those cases where instead of having to release 2 reviews of Queer, I actually did get to hear the audio description track, which I believe is Jedediah Barton. And the movie's better for it. I didn't hate the movie to begin with, but there is sort of this like trippy third act sequence, which made it really hard for me to figure out where I was going to land that grade. Because you don't fully understand what's going on. And which you've probably heard about if you've ever seen a review of Queer. I mean, I guess the plus side here is that you're getting a gay blind film critic, and that's like the thing here. Congratulations. And what I liked about the performance is I like Daniel Craig here. I think he's giving a wonderful performance as a man looking for something. Just anything. Just any sort of connection. He's longing for something, almost like he's longing to be loved. It's like he's been in love with someone, but he doesn't know who, for years. And he's just trying to find that person, like a hopeless romantic. And you could say in some ways, because there's enough of a picture, that he's not really in love with the person so much as he is with experiences. Because at the beginning of the film, you see a lot of sort of like drug paraphernalia, and the whole movie is about going down to South America to try out this drug that gives you has like psychic properties to it or something. So you could say it's also about that. So, I mean, there are a couple of lines that carry through the whole film. But certainly he is an expat who is in Mexico, in an area that has a strong sort of non-Mexican presence to it, but also attracts, I mean, he has opportunities with the locals, and then also, to be promiscuous, but also really just sort of prefers and spots some of these young men that are coming through. He has a friend in Jason Schwartzman who's there also as a queer individual looking for relatively the same experiences. They've done a little bit of work on Jason to make him look a little bit less like Jason. He's a little bit more frumpy. And Daniel's a little bit more old. I mean, also, he's not so much more old as he is tired and worn. He drinks and smokes quite frequently in the movie, plus he does like heavy drug use. So yeah, he's been better. But he meets this young man, Drew Starkey, who he seems to have a really good connection with at first, but then Drew starts pulling away. And seeming really disinterested. He's not as comfortable being out in the open and with anything as possible. And Daniel Craig plays a character that seems way more comfortable in who he is, even though he also can be in these conversations with people who sort of make fun of you know, the flamboyant gays that hang out at like the Green Lantern Club or something like that. I think I picked that up. I thought that was hilarious, by the way, but um, the name of the Green Lanterns. Anyway, so yeah, it's they follow this story. He finds this guy and he pines after this guy and he finds a way, and eventually, because he seems to have, he's like he at one point says he's a man of independent means. I don't know how rich he is or how wealthy. He doesn't seem to live in any sort of like extravagance, you know, situation. But I mean, if you go from America and make enough money in a country, and then the exchange rate is in your favor when you move to another country, then automatically you become wealthier in that country. So he could just be an average guy who moved to a poorer country and his money is worth more. It goes further. So uh, he ends up sort of like floating Drew Starkey the idea of going to South America with him so they can find this drug that he's already mentioned. And that's sort of where the third act of the movie goes. That's where you meet Leslie Manville. And that's where things get trippy and where some people have gotten lost. It's not that long of a sequence. I don't know why this is like the be all end all for people. Like, I don't know why some people go to this sequence and they're like, oh God, I was with the movie, but then for 5 minutes they trip balls. And then I was like, I can't do this anymore. I mean, if it was like 30 minutes of tripping balls, I can understand that. It's not that. Some people make it sound like it's that. It's not that at all. Maybe 10. Probably 5. I didn't time it, but they're not, you know, forever. It's having the audio description really helped with that sequence. It helped with the sex sequences. Plus, I got to hear the I got to hear the the word choices. And I good to go. Okay, you know, I just the sex scenes were graphically described. And the use of the word "come," for example, I was like in the audio description. Cool. I mean, it is that kind of film where the sex scenes are pretty. I think about this film is not yet rated, and how the MPAA used to treat scenes like this, and particularly Boys Don't Cry, which had a scene with Hillary going down on Chloe, and then she came up and she wiped her mouth afterwards, and like that was, I think it was the mouth wipe or something that the MPAA took offense to. And I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, man, all the old MPAA members must be dead, and these must be completely new people who are just way more accepting of shit, because this is not the kind of film that in the 90s would have gotten an R rating. They did not like LGBTQ content in the 90s, and this has some really sort of in your face stuff. I mean, not the only film to do so, but there's some stuff here where I've seen similar content be pointed out as being like, well, we had to cut that. So, but I don't want to do this thing where like Daniel deserves a nomination because of bravery in playing like an LGBTQ character. Like, that's not a thing either. Like, Daniel Craig should be nominated because he's playing queer. The bravery of him to do that. No. I mean, like, I'm fine with the fact that he doesn't identify as that, and he's playing that anyway. Like, that doesn't bother me, because I'd also like to see it reversed. Like, I think actors who are LGBTQ should be able to play not LGBTQ. So that door should fly both ways. But I'm not going to just be like, oh my God, because of that. No, what's good about his performance is that that sense of longing that you get from somebody who is never really fulfilled, that they're still chasing something. And because the film gives you multiple opportunities to wonder what that thing is it this experience? Is it drugs? Because you are shown drugs throughout the movie. Or is it love? what is he chasing? Is he chasing the feeling, or is he chasing permanence? And the end of the film gives you sort of a little bit of a clarity into that as well. I thought Drew Starkey was fine, but honestly, Daniel Craig is dancing around him in this movie. Even Jason Schwartzman and is doing a pretty solid job here. Although he just had a good year in general between this and between the temples and the few minutes he's in Last Showgirl, and I'm sure he was in something else. I feel like he was, and I'm just forgetting it. But the score is great. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are two of the greatest working right now. And even though their score for challengers is all the rage, this just really goes to show how good they are, because this is not something where it's like, oh yeah, this is definitely them. This sounds like them. No, it doesn't at all. It's so wildly different than challengers. And I think that's what makes it, you know, lovely. It has an odd ending. I can understand why people are bristled at Queer and why it's not making the top lists. But I gotta say, especially after being sort of surprisingly blown away by Bones and All, a film that I did not think I was going to like, and liking Challengers and liking Queer, it's odd, but I think Call Me By Your Name is my least favorite Luca Guadagnino film, and that's the film that most people point to and go, yes, that movie. I'm like, I think he's getting better, you know? I think he's passing himself. I think we just all were really stunned by The Peach, and we were like, oh, brilliant, you know? So, yeah, I like Queer. A little bit. I don't love it. It's not gonna be in my top 20 of the year. So it's a little long. It leans in Daniel's favor. It could have given me a little bit better of a character in Drew Starkey. I know that part of the thing is like we're not supposed to know what he's thinking, but at times I felt like I barely knew him. You know, like it was putting me so much at arm's length that I was like, who is this guy? You know? Like you only know like the in bed portion of him, but like as a human, I felt like I didn't know him at all. And I wanted more of that. I wanted like a really good Drew Starkey scene where he just opens up and I just go, oh wow, I get him now. I understand. I see you. And that never came. Other people did though. Anyway, yes, this is great audio description track, one of the best of the year. And I'm glad I got to see it with audio description. So, and I don't have to review this movie twice. So this is Queer. I'm giving it a B+. Should Craig get the nomination? Oof. I'm not gonna hate it. Knowing that he's up against, knowing who he's up against. There are some performers this year that I liked that aren't even tracking. So realistically, I would say no from that perspective, but the performance is realistically tracking. I'm not mad at it. So I would put him above some other people who have a chance at getting in the 5. So we shall see. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.